Hey folks, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Friday, August 15th. This is the second attempt at this, so sorry there was some kind of, I don't know what, video glitch or something the first time around, so we're re-recording. It's going to be a little bit late. I do apologize for that. I want to talk today about the Steelers running game because I have, I've seen some things, and I've got some questions of my own, and I've got some questions from the audience. So I want to talk about it a little bit here. Dave Colvin commented yesterday, I know it's only practice, but I've heard how the O-line looked good, but the running game is lacking still. So explain that to me, Alan. Dave, we got to get you on the right path here. ALAN, those double LEN guys. We're not the same. We don't mess with those guys. But I think the thought process here is a good one. I generally think the Steelers' offensive line has looked good in protecting Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, the other quarterbacks that have been in there. And they have also struggled to run the ball a little bit. It's happened throughout training camp. It happened in the first preseason game. It happened in the joint practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday. Throw the ball just fine, run the ball, not awful, but not great. Not what you'd expect to see from a team that basically would prefer to move the ball on the ground. Arthur Smith is a noted, he's an offensive line coach, right? Tight ends coach. Like he that's what he did. So, is it concerning at this point? Not to me. I think there's a long way to go. I definitely think that the Steelers have some things to figure out. What they're doing with their usage of tight ends is really working in the passing game. And it just may be that they end up being a heavy team that throws until they can get teams to respect it. You go out there with Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, and people think three tight ends. Now, of course, that's difficult to cover, those three tight ends, but you may have to make them pay that way first to get defenses to respect that part of it, to then force the conflict, if that makes sense to you, right? Like if you just ignore the personnel and you say, or the individual players, and say, oh, it's 13 personnel, three tight ends in the field, we're going heavy, we're going to stop the run, and then you run, it's not going to work that well. I mean, Darnell Washington's a really good blocker for a tight end, but Pat Freiermuth is maybe average, and Jonnu Smith probably a little bit below average in terms of their run blocking ability. So if they line up like it's any old 13 personnel and you run into it, you're probably not going to have any success. You probably need teams to have felt some pain from doing that, or just game plan for your personnel. In the preseason and in training camp, and the Steelers are not game planning for their own offense. They're not coming out here saying like, well, hey, we're just doing what we do. What offense breaks the huddle, or comes into the huddle, guy on the sideline puts up 13. Steelers defense says, hey, they're in 13, put in base. Right? Like they're not paying attention to the personnel. They're not game planning. They're not talent matching, right? They're just saying this is what we do. They're getting ready for the season. When the Baltimore Ravens are in 13, the Steelers are going to do what they're going to do, right? Or 23 or 22, whatever the Ravens run. A lot of 22. Fullback and two tight ends instead of three tight ends in it. But they have Charlie Kolar too, so they can run 13. But whatever, you're doing what you're going to do in preparation for the defenses you're going to face during the season. You're not really worried about the specifics of the defense across from you. When you get into a season and you start the game plan, maybe teams will treat the Steelers 13 a little bit different than a generic 13 because the abilities of Smith and Freiermuth are and the uniqueness of Washington make them difficult to cover. And maybe they won't. Maybe the Steelers will have to throw to set up the run out of those heavy formations and make teams feel the pain of not respecting those three tight ends as receivers first, and then they'll be able to run against it. I also think that Caleb Johnson is going to be a big part of the Steelers running game and is chugging along on that rookie development curve, but it's not where I think I expected him to be at the start of the season yet. Now, still got a couple weeks of preseason here to go, but that doesn't mean he's not going to get there. That doesn't mean he's not going to be good. I still think he's going to be a very good running back for the Steelers. Great fit for this offense. But if the Steelers really want to get their running game firing on all cylinders, it is going to involve getting him up to speed, get literally and figuratively, getting him going. And until that happens, it's going to be difficult. And so when you're counting on a rookie, it might take a couple weeks. It might take the first half of the season, really, until we see the Steelers running game firing on all cylinders. So I think schematically and player personnel-wise, I do think we could see some growing pains for the Steelers running game in the early part of the season, but I'm feeling good about the team's passing offense. The one area that's strangely been a trouble spot there is the 2-minute. That's something that we have not seen them do very well, didn't do well against Tampa, and haven't done it well throughout training camp. So maybe we'll get one of those here in this second preseason game. Of course, it'll be mostly backups if we do, so I don't know what that's going to tell us. But I think generally what the Steelers have is something that you won't really see how it's going to play out until you get somebody game planning for it or trying to deal with the specific personnel they're putting out there instead of just generic holding up a 13 card and then stopping the run with those guys in there. All right, that's all I got for this morning, or it's probably this afternoon by the time you're seeing this. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Me, Smitty, and DB on Afternoon Drive today, the whole crew for Friday, previewing this final preseason game, taking your questions. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.